Hey, this is Brian, thanks for watching Kies. In today's video, I'm gonna show you step-by-step how to install a CSF charge cooler on an F90 M5. These are designed for the person who wants to go fast, stay cool, and make sure that your car stays as reliable as possible. As you can see, these are one-piece metal coolers, which is going to be way more durable than this aluminum and plastic combination that tends to crack and get brittle over time. They also feature a 100% increase in core size to make sure your car is as cool as possible. So with that, let's install them. Now to get to the coolers, as you can see, they are a little bit buried. We do need to begin by removing the air intake. So to do this, what we're going to do, you need to pull out these little pins over here. If you just pop the center up, the whole thing should pull out. There's just a series of these. There's one over here, and then this entire piece of plastic will pop up. Then under this plastic, there's a 16mm bolt here, an 18mm in the back. Loosen this hose clamp, and this entire thing's gonna come out as one piece. Now the next part of the process is we need to remove the engine cover. So it's held on by a series of grommets. So all you want to do is just carefully lift up and this will pop right off. Just be careful to not lift too far towards the end or you can break some of the tabs. Next thing we're going to do is with your slotted driver, you're going to loosen this hose clamp over here, this one, same on the other side. Then you're gonna notice a 360 clamp over here. If you take a driver and you put it in here, we're just gonna twist until we can get this clamp to pop up. These are one-time use, so do not be surprised if it breaks. Okay, and then you can just kind of peel it off the rest of the way, just like that. And then you can do the exact same thing on the other side. Then you can remove this bracket over here. It's held on by two T30s. Next, you're going to remove this line right here. Typically, the way that these work, this is an oval-shaped piece, and you press on the two outer sides, and it releases the tabs on the opposite ends. But, as you can see, mine is a little bit broken here. So we're just going to carefully peel this back without breaking it anymore. There we go. Okay, next we're going to disconnect this connection over here. What you want to do is just pop this down until it unlocks just like that. Then you press down on the tab and then pull it out. Sometimes these will get a little bit stuck, and if that happens, just give it a little help on the tab over here. See, when you push it down like this, sometimes it doesn't lift up enough, so if you take a flathead driver and just pop it up the rest of the way, it should slide right out. Then over here, what we're going to do, we're going to release it from this little holder, and we'll just set this over here out of the way. Then you can disconnect this sensor down here. Again, release the locking tab, slide it up and out of the way. Then you can take this piece, just pop it up and let it hang just like that. Now on the passenger side, it's basically the same. There's just one connector instead of two. All right, so now what we can do is we can start to remove some of the coolant lines. We're going to start off with this little one up here. As you can see, I do have a little bucket that I'm going to use to catch as much as possible, so do not be surprised if some leaks out. The way that these work, there's a little retaining clip, so just take a pick tool and you can pop it up just like that. It'll lock into place. Then very carefully, pop this off. Next, we're going to remove this bigger one here. Now this one, you have a lot higher chance of coolant coming out, so we got these little clamps. And for all the parts and tools we're using in today's video, we will have it all linked for you below. I am going to pinch this off. I recommend trying to push here because otherwise when you squeeze this, it's gonna shoot out at you. So you just take this and that'll close it off. Then you can take the retaining clip, pull it up until it locks. And then we can just kind of wiggle this off just like that. And then over here, you can see it's clipped in. So you can remove that from the clip and just set it to the side. Now, as you can see, if you look over here, this cooler is filled to the brim with coolant, which is to be expected. What I like to do is I like to take these little orange caps off the CSF unit, and I just put that on there just so that I can have it stop dripping. And then there's another one we have to pull off at the bottom. As you can imagine, you are going to spill a lot more coolant on that bottom hose. I do have this one ready as well. Again, we're going to clamp off the actual hose and then we're going to put this on the attachment just to minimize spillage as much as possible. Now, while you're here, what I want you to do is just take these clips and just snap it in just like that. Do it with this one. And also this one. It does two things. A, it prevents you from losing it, and B, when you go to actually reinstall it, you have it in this position and then it's spring loaded. So once you push it on, it's going to snap into place. Next, your charge cooler is held onto your throttle body with just a regular hose clamp set up. So at this time, you can totally loosen those. And you can do the same on the other side. Next, you can remove this rubber hose. They typically get a little bit stuck. So what I like to do is take a pick tool that doesn't have a very sharp point on it, and then just start to walk around and loosen it up. And as it loosens up, it'll be a lot easier to pull off. Just like that. Okay, and you can set this to the side. Next, on both sides, you have a T30 that secures it, so you need to remove this bolt over here, and then this one over here. All right, so now there's this little plastic harness. You're just gonna very carefully pry up. And this entire thing is gonna stay as one unit over here. Then the last thing is we have to get that bottom coolant line off. It's a little bit challenging to get to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the hose clamp up here. Then I'm going to try to pull this up a little bit and rock it out, and then see if it gives us a little bit better access. Next, what we're going to do is we need to remove this lower hose. This is the hidden one. So to make sure we're not going to spill too much, I am going to clamp this one off as well, just like we did that one on the top. And this part is going to be really hard to see, but you're going to fish for the little clip. We're going to release this, just like that. Then we're going to release the coolant line and then throw this cap on as quick as we can. Okay, just like that. So now I'm going to loosen up this bottom hose clamp. All right, so now I'm gonna pull the bottom up out of the throttle body. So it should pull up a little bit so that we can get it over this. Now, if you really wanted to, there is a bolt back here that holds this hanger on. I don't think it's super necessary to remove that, but let's try to lift it up a little bit and then we should be able to rock it back. Okay, just like that. All right, so now what we're doing is we're going to be transferring over the sensor, but we will not be using this bracket. Always make sure to use the bolts that CSF provides. As you can see, these ones are totally different. If you try to use these plastic ones, they're just gonna strip out and it's gonna be an absolute disaster. So make sure to use the hardware that CSF provides. Now with your sensor, just make sure you put it the right way. I accidentally put it on upside down, but easy enough. Next, you need to remove two rubber grommets. There's one down here, and this just gets reinstalled right down here. Then there's this other rubber grommet up here. It's easiest if you pop out that little cylinder in the middle and then remove it. Last, you want to take your rubber coupler and you want to slide it on just like that. You want to be very mindful the location of this screw because that's what you're going to need to tighten once it's on the car. So as long as you point it basically towards this sensor in this general direction, you should have pretty easy access. Now for these ports down here, they're not going to be used in our installation. It's more for if you're using something like methanol injection, or if you need some kind of boost tap, you could put a little boost sensor in here, but we're not doing any of that today. So at this point, let's install it. All right, so then you can just feed this in from the top and aim it down towards that throttle body. Okay, then I'm going to use a pick tool to navigate this in place. Okay, set that up. And now everything is in proper position. All right, so now what you're going to do, clip in your back hose. So once you hear an audible click, just give it a tug, make sure it's good. We are solid there. Then I can remove my clamp. Okay, just like that. Then you can take your top hose, slide this on. Again, you'll hear an audible click, just like that. You can release this. and you clip on the top one. Then you can use the washer that CSF provides to reinstall this T30. Now, one thing to note, make sure that you have this routed in this orientation where this comes up through this hole over here. You can start to navigate this back in here. As you can see, we have a broken tab. For today, I'm just going to throw a zip tie on it until we can get a replacement. But if yours breaks, a zip tie will hold, but we always do recommend getting a new piece. Then over here, you plug this back in, lock it in place. And then up here, plug that back in, lock that in place. All right, so now that all of that is situated, I'm going to tighten down the hose clamp that holds the cooler to the throttle body. Then you can tighten down the hose clamps where it connects to the turbo. Okay, then you can take this little bracket and just pop it on just like that. All right, the driver's side is now 100% done. We're just working on the passenger side. It's basically the same exact process. There's just a few key differences. The big one is really just this filler neck for your oil. We recommend removing it because as you're trying to wiggle this and whatnot, you don't want to break this off. That would be a really bad day. So let's start off by removing it. It's held on by an E8 and a T30. All right, so at this point, the coolers are both fully installed. They are going to be a little bit low on coolant because we did remove the old ones and they were both full. So what we're going to do is we are going to fill and bleed the system using a vacuum pressure bleeder. All right, so at this point, our coolant tank for the charge coolers is filled and bled. While I'm here, I always like to check the main engine system as well, just to make sure that's topped off and bled as well. All right, once you've done your coolant fill and bleed, the process is totally done. Now, we still need to obviously install our intakes, but since we're upgrading this, we're definitely going to be taking the time to upgrade some other things like an MST intake and a whole bunch of other mods, which you should check out in our big video, which we'll have linked for you down below once that video is ready, where we're turning this into a stealth 700 horsepower sleeper. Anyway, my name is Brian. If you're interested in any of the parts or tools we use in today's video, see the description down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.